Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the Soul of Excellence.
He is a radio host at 77 WABC here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's Bo Snerdley.
Welcome, my friends, to the Tuesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222 if you would like to be on the program today. Two big stories are happening simultaneously. One, they're both continuations of stories. There has been movement on one. That, of course, the plight of the terrorist now residing in El Salvador. And, of course, liberals are still having an S-fit, demanding that the Trump administration bring him back home. They claim that the Supreme Court has demanded Trump bring him back home, but they didn't. The Supreme Court says that the administration must facilitate him returning. So if he's returning, they have to facilitate, but there are no plans on returning. And, of course, that is being seen as obfuscation. Liberals are mad. They are mad. They want this criminal, illegal immigrant gangbanger. They say home, meaning the United States. He is from El Salvador. He was here illegally. The United States of America is not his home. He is home. He's in El Salvador. The president there, by the way, he and Trump had apparently are getting along splendidly. The other big story, of course, is what's going on at Harvard. Liberals are around the country and the world are orgasmic. They're probably having multiples. Every time they think about it, they have another one. Because Harvard has told the Trump administration, well, they've given them the finger. The Trump administration had put demands on the billions of dollars that the federal government sends over to Harvard University to use as the administrators at Harvard see fit for a certain grant activity. And, of course, we learned earlier that a lot of that money ends up, at least we learned a few weeks ago, a lot of that money ends up being used by Harvard for their own purposes. The amount that it goes to the actual grant is not the full extent of the dollars that are sent over. But anyway, Harvard told the administration, "Niet. No, we're not going to cave in and do what you ask us to do in exchange for the billions of dollars that we get." A message that came from their president, Alan Garber, said, "No government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue." And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I agree wholeheartedly. Absolutely right. As long as they're not taking federal tax dollars. Because if you are taking dollars from the people of the United States of America, then the people of the United States of America, via their elected officials, have every right to say that the money that we send you, these billions of dollars, have conditions upon it. Now, let's head to the sound bites. We begin with Carolyn Levitt, who was asked about this latest move by the Trump administration, which is to say, you know what, let's examine Harvard's tax-exempt status. And perhaps it's time that tax-exempt status to Harvard University gets changed. Cut 6, this is Caroline Levitt asked about it. I think it was Ducey that was asking about it. Could be. Anyway, let's listen it together.
When it comes to Harvard, the president's position on this is grounded in common sense. In the basic principle that Jewish American students, or students of any faith, should not be illegally harassed and targeted on our nation's college campuses. And we unfortunately saw that illegal discrimination take place on the campus of Harvard. There are countless examples to prove it, particularly with the stunning confession by then Harvard President Claudine Gay, who said that bullying and harassment depended on the context. The president at that time made it clear to the American public he was not going to tolerate illegal harassment and anti-Semitism taking place in violations of federal law. So the president made it clear to Harvard, follow federal law, no longer break Title VI, which was passed by Congress to ensure no student can be discriminated against on the basis of race, and you will receive federal funding. Unfortunately, Harvard has not taken the president or the administration's demands seriously. All the president is asking, don't break federal law, and then you can have your federal funding. I think the president is also begging a good question. More than $2 billion out the door to Harvard when they have a more than $50 billion endowment. Why are the American taxpayers subsidizing a university that has billions of dollars in the bank already? And we certainly should not be funding a place where such grave anti-Semitism exists.
And that is exactly right. Now, what is the administration asking? They're saying Harvard has to eliminate some of their DEI stuff, leadership changes. They want reforms to hiring and admissions practices. They want to audit certain departments at Harvard for anti-Semitism. They want to see the way that students are disciplined, reformed, and how student groups can operate. And they want reports every quarter until 2028 on goals. And what the university is saying, they've got their backs up. The university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. Neither Harvard nor any other private university can allow itself to be taken over by the federal government. Well, that's well and good. I'm with you on that, folks. I'm with you, Harvard. Except here's this. You guys get $9 billion in federal contracts. You don't want to play by the rules. You want to be independent, like you say, then be independent. Tell the taxpayers of America, no thank you. We're not going to take any federal funds whatsoever. We do have a $50 billion endowment. We can pay for our independence ourselves. But if you want to keep having taxpayers pay the bill, pay this $9 billion, then this whole declaration of your independence sounds a little weak. There was a follow-up to that question that was about federal funding. That's cut 8. Carlos, let's see Caroline Levitt again on the idea of Harvard and federal funds with these colleges.
Caroline, to follow up on something that you just said, why do Ivy League schools get so much federal funding?
It's a very good question, and it's a question the president has obviously raised in his discussions and negotiations with not just Harvard, but also Columbia and many other Ivy League institutions. We have the Anti-Semitism Task Force, which the president promised and delivered on. The Anti-Semitism Task Forces across the government, representatives from various federal agencies who meet on a weekly basis to discuss the question that you just raised. And I think a lot of Americans are wondering why their tax dollars are going to these universities when they are not only indoctrinating our nation's students, but also allowing such egregious illegal behavior to occur.
That's right. Now, Harvard claims that the president, the administration, is well out of bounds with the law. That's what they claim, that this is government overreach. That's what they claim. So let's see whose side the American public, if many of them even care about this, will fall down on. I happen to think again. Look, I agree with Harvard. If they're a private institution And if they want to remain a private institution, totally private, then the government doesn't have a right to tell them how to run their business to most degrees, unless they are clearly violating the law. As, by the way, these anti-Semitic protests did. They are discriminatory. They are breaking the law. But in the normal scheme of things, if you say you run a private institution, you don't want the government auditing your classes, every class reporting back to the government every quarter on how you're doing. Now, you're a private institution and you want to make that claim, look, we're private. We're not a public university. So the government needs to stay out of it. Fine, I'm with that. Except the moment you take billions of dollars in taxpayer money, you are not a private institution anymore. Your private money is being commingled with the taxpayers' money. And taxpayers have a right to expect accountability. If the American taxpayers paying Harvard University $6 billion, then the government has a right to set some terms as condition for that payment. And this, by the way, even happens in private industry, where there are agreements made, but there are conditions made for the spending of money. And that's not unusual. So these liberals around the country, around the world, can keep having multiple orgasms all day and all night because Harvard is supposedly standing up to Donald Trump. Well, let's see how long they continue to stand without federal money. And by the way, it should be for quite some time. They have a $50 billion plus endowment. It's time that they start spending some of it, perhaps. So if Harvard wants to remain on this independent island and say, nope, no thank you, and put up their middle finger to the government of the United States, then okay, as long as they're not getting government money. Stop the money. James Golden, Snerdley, with you, ladies and gentlemen.
Rush.
This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Bo Snerdley.
On 77 WABC.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, streaming now only on Netflix.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes.
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
Ladies, you'll end up shopping for your guy's deodorant, right? So try Degree's Original Cool Rush. You see, last year, Degree changed the formula, and men were mad. One guy even started a petition. So Degree admitted they messed up and brought the Original Cool Rush scent back. It's clean, crisp, and actually smells like someone you want to cuddle. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So toss one in your cart and find out why it's the best-selling men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
former President Biden. He's set to deliver his first major speech since leaving office tonight. He plans to talk about what I'm told will be Social Security under the current administration, closing of offices, longer wait times, harder for seniors and people with disabilities to access earned benefits, is what Democrats have been saying today. I wanted to get the president's response, or if he plans to respond to this, and comments on what Democrats are calling cuts to Social Security.
My first reaction when seeing former President Biden was speaking tonight was I'm shocked that he is speaking at nighttime. I thought his bedtime was much earlier than his speech tonight. I understand the topic.
Oh, my goodness. James Golden is slowly with you. It is the Tuesday Rush Hour. Thank you, Princess Di, and thank you. It is the birthday, ladies and gentlemen, of Lady Benedict today. Lady Benedict, I believe, yes, Lady Benedict. Happy birthday to you. She, I believe, is leaving the last of her 30s, perhaps. Yeah, right. Yeah, she's probably late 30s. Right. So happy birthday. Very happy birthday. And we love you, Lady Benedict. Always. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an update on a story that we brought to you last week. Carlos, do you have it ready? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, an initial autopsy is inconclusive on the corpse of the man that was sexually violated after he died and then robbed on the New York subway train last week. The victim remains unidentified, according to police. The city's medical examiner's office plans to run more tests to determine how the man passed away. We remember the story. The man was smoking a cigarette on the subway. Shortly after, the homeless man lit up the cigarette on the subway, had to smoke. He died. A little while later, another guy got on the train. They have pictures of him. And this guy proceeded to rob the homeless man and then have relations with his booty, is the kindest way to say it. Even though the man was dead, the other man robbed him first and then robbed him again. And then robbed him again, and then robbed his booty. And the medical, it's a horrific, this is a horrific case. We learned something else. Another woman now is involved, a woman. After the man was robbed and had his booty snatched while he was dead, a woman came upon the corpse, and she also went through his pockets a few minutes after the guy got through having his way with the dead man's. This poor guy. I mean, we have to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. We have to take a break. It's a sad, sad world out here some days, isn't it? James Golden, Snerdley, both Snerdley's Rush Hour, the Tuesday edition. Whatever you do, do not go away.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Bo Snerdley.
On 77 WABC.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
You guys, I just found the most incredible Mother's Day gift. It's called Goldbelly. Goldbelly is this amazing site where you can get the most iconic foods from restaurants all across the U.S., shipped anywhere in the country for free in time for Mother's Day. We're talking cakes from Ina Garten and Martha Stewart, Magnolia Bakery's famous banana pudding, and New York bagel brunches. Make Mother's Day perfect with Goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MOM. That's Goldbelly.com, promo code MOM.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Rush. Gavin Newsom says the state short on funds for its Medicaid program known as Medi-Cal. The state expanded the program to cover undocumented immigrants. Governor asked lawmakers to approve another $2.8 billion in loans on top of a $3.4 billion loan issued last week. So California now making up a $6.2 billion shortfall in Medi-Cal funds. The money meant to keep the program properly funded through June.
The realities are the realities. You have to balance budgets. We balance our budget. Revenue is holding up. I don't see anything significant along the lines of what some have asserted. But I do see the need to make adjustments and changes broadly in the Medicaid system.
Meantime, Republicans blaming Democrats for creating financial insecurity with the Medi-Cal program. They say undocumented people should not be covered.
Yeah, let's bring every illegal immigrant in the state under Medi-Cal. Now they're $6.2 billion short, and Newsom's like, hey, that's all we do. We budget, things.
He said that on the podcast?
Yeah. He was out and asked by, we budget. This is all we do. James Golden and Snerdley with you. We got a lot to do. Let me get to some of these other things, okay? All right, folks. Some of y'all going to get mad at me because I'm going to play it anyway. I'm going to play Hakeem. But before I play Hakeem, our guy up in Canada, the new PM there, Mark Carney, everything's all tickety-boo up there. The supposedly, except for the tariffs, the conservative is now down behind Mark Carney. It looks like he might be able to pull it off to stay the PM. And then he was speaking. This is cut 16. Mark Carney was speaking somewhere, and I just listen to what happened with the audience.
Thank you. Because we need to do...
Tell us the story of what you did to the children on Epstein Island. Come on, tell us the story.
Oh, some heckler just yells out, tell us the story of, let's just listen to it one more time. Let's get that accurate, eh? Okay, Mike?
Because we need to do...
Tell us the story of what you did to the children on Epstein Island. Come on, tell us the story.
No, I don't know about that. I tell you, I don't know about what's going to happen there. But it was, and a lot of people behind them, by the way, I guess didn't really understand because they were clapping as just the visuals. They were clapping as this person's going, tell us about what you did with the children on Epstein Island. And they're all clapping behind them and oh man, it's like, interesting. Were you down there? Okay. Now, y'all don't get mad at me because I'm going to play. I play stuff. I play it. I got to play one thing to play the other. Here's Hakeem, cut 13. Yes, we're going to get to this illegal immigrant. Everybody's been talking about that, so I want to do some other stuff. Here's Hakeem. Hakeem's on a roll, 13, whining about, this is...
According to some reporting out today from the New York Times and other outlets,
that's Jen Psaki.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene bought between
about $21,000, according to the reports, and $315,000 in stocks in the 2 days before Trump announced he was pausing the sweeping global tariffs, notably stocks that were initially hit the hardest. She also apparently dumped between $50,000 and $100,000 in bonds. That doesn't sound like a coincidence to me, but what do you think of that, and what can happen to look into that?
So many of these people are crooks, liars, and frauds. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is, of course, Exhibit A. We are seeing corruption unfold before us in real time. And House Democrats and Senate Democrats are going to partner together to make sure we, of course, shine a spotlight on these issues. One, we do need to change the law so that sitting members of Congress cannot trade stock. Period. Full stop. And until we get to that point, we obviously have to continue to highlight why this is problematic. And if Republicans are unwilling to hold a hearing on this matter, I can assure you Democrats will on Capitol Hill in partnership with the Senate, and we also will take this matter on the road.
Okay, so Marjorie Taylor Greene apparently did some trading, which is her right as a private individual, but they're a little bit upset. I want to refer you back to the year 2008. Well, it may have even been sooner than that, but I believe this was 2008. And a certain person in Democrat leadership was being questioned by a reporter. That would be cut number 14 that I'm referring to, Mr. Carlos. And just let's you and I take a stroll down memory lane and remember this.
I wanted to ask you why you and your husband, back in March of 2008, accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa. At a time there was major legislation affecting the credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential and favorable stock deal?
Well, we did.
And you participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
and at the time you were Speaker of the House. You don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance of a conflict of interest?
It only has the appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. But it's not true, and that's that.
I don't understand what part's not true.
Yes, sir. That I would act upon an investment.
Really? It's not true that I would act. She and her husband. Okay, Nancy Pelosi has a history of this. This was when she was called out about her IPO that she got in with some Visa deal as legislation's bubbling up in Congress about, look, NVIDIA. She and her husband did. Hakeem Jeffries acts like MTG state trading some stock is something new in Congress that never happened. Folks, this has been going on for decades. And it's both parties. So all this talk about this, that, and the other, guess what we should expect as American taxpayers? Absolutely nothing. That's what we should expect. At least that's my view. Now, while we're at it, let's get to some other things. And then if we have time, okay, let's do the immigrant stuff. Hakeem Jeffries, cut one. Here's more of that thing, that story that I'm growing tired of.
To intensify the pressure on the Trump administration to comply with the Supreme Court's directive, and the Supreme Court and or the federal district court actually needs to enforce its order. And the vehicles that are available for the court to do that relate to contempt. And that contempt can be directed at a variety of different members of the Trump administration, including but not limited to the Secretary of State and or his or her designees, and the Secretary of Homeland Security and or his or her designees for the court to determine.
Okay.
It sounds like you're saying you think the court should hold some members of the administration in contempt. Anyone else you want to mention there? Didn't he just say that, Jim Psaki?
Well, I think what the court needs to do is to set a deadline as it relates to compliance with the
compliance. What they said that the Trump administration should facilitate the guy coming back to the UN. Enough of him. Enough. The Supreme Court never said you have to bring this guy back. They said you can facilitate his return. You should facilitate his return to the United States. What does that mean? It's open to interpretation. And the way the Trump administration has interpreted, they said, okay, if there are any obstacles, we'll clear the obstacles. And that's that. That's it. And he's not coming back. Meanwhile, the senator out of Maryland, ooh, he's a big man. Listen to big man. He's big man. He's going to stand up to Donald Trump. Big man, Chris Van Hollen, big Democrat. He's a big Democrat. He's going to stand up.
Senator Van Hollen. Senator, thank you for your time. You requested this meeting with President Bukele while he's in D.C. Is the meeting set? Have you heard back?
No.
Kate, it's good to be with you. I did request it. I've not heard back from the president of El Salvador. And as I said in that letter, if I don't hear from him and Abrego Garcia is not quickly returned, I do intend to go to El Salvador this week to show solidarity with his family. As you indicated, the Trump administration itself has admitted that he was abducted and sent to this prison in error, and he should get his due process.
Okay, if he's not released, no, I didn't hear back from the president of El Salvador. I shouldn't have. The president of El Salvador ignored your sorry behind. And if I don't hear back from him soon, I'm going to go to El Salvador. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get on a plane and I'm going to go there. Okay, go to El Salvador. What are you going to do there? You going to visit the jail? Don't you have to get permission to do that? What are you going to do? You're going to go down there and stomp your feet? I'm going to show the family that I'm with them. All right. Scott Jennings, number 4. I love Scott Jennings. You all know that. Scott Jennings is awesome. There's panel discussions, as there always are, on the Abby Let's Interrupt show on CNN, and Scott
They keep calling this guy Maryland man in the press. Nobody seems to worry about the Maryland mother, Rachel Marin, who was murdered by someone that the previous administration let out of jail.
But not
so
by
this is
man,
a visceral political.
This is a visceral political issue. That's incredibly dishonest to conflate these.
Oh, boy, he gets him going. But not by this man. That's incredibly dishonest. Don't bring up the other illegal immigrant. By the way, that guy's trial, another illegal immigrant who raped and murdered a Maryland mother of 5. That trial ended yesterday. Found guilty. And that's what Scott was talking about. They keep calling this guy a father from Maryland, but the Democrats will not talk about the mother from Maryland who was raped and murdered by another illegal immigrant. So then, of course, they all acted like it's unfair. How dare you conflate the two of those things? Okay. Let's see what else we got here. We got Jonah Goldberg. I'm not going to. Let's be nice, James. Before we go to the break in your telephone calls very quickly, you do know that Gayle King from CBS, Oprah's pal, and the singer Katy Perry and some other thing went up in that Blue Origin spacecraft. They spent like 9 minutes in space or something like that and came home. And anyway, we have a brief reaction to that. Let's play cut 15 and then let's go to a break and come back and take some calls.
Group of rich women who went into space. Wow. Mark that under who gives a shit. These celebrities who are so disconnected from reality, I just find unbelievably annoying. And then I happened to see Katy Perry when she got off the spaceship thing, and she said, I feel so connected to love. And I thought, did you sit down and think, what is the most insufferable thing I can say? You do realize that the vast majority of people just trying to get by. All right, you're floating around in space for 11 minutes. Almost everyone else is just trying to figure out how to pay bills.
Rush. This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Bo Snerdley.
On 77 WABC.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco. Get the most out of your vehicle with GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco original equipment. The only parts designed, engineered, tested, and backed by General Motors. You can find your perfect fit for most makes and models and choose from 3 tiers of parts, including GM OE or gold and silver aftermarket parts. Visit gmparts.com for more information.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Rush. We have a litigation working group where a large group of us, and I'm talking there's maybe 75 members of the House, sit down every single week with the AGs to talk about legal strategy. This is all going on every single week behind the scenes. It is nonstop talk. Nonstop introduction of bills and legislation, nonstop being on social media as much as we can without being throttled and without the crazy analytics, and doing all these things.
Yeah, Democrats. James Golden.
James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
Let's get started with Gary in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Hi, Gary.
Hi. They should remove tax-exempt status from Harvard and the other universities. They'd have to pay tax on their capital gains. They have to pay tax on tuition revenue. And anybody who contributes to the university is no longer tax deductible. That would show them.
I love that. Now, there is a precedent for this, folks. Remember the name Bob Jones University? Bob Jones University was stripped of its tax-exempt status. It was stripped because it was found the Supreme Court ruled the IRS could pull Bob Jones' tax-exempt status due to racial discrimination. And so if Donald Trump wants to pull the tax-exempt status over Harvard University for anti-Semitism, there is a precedent. There is stare decisis. 8-1, the Supreme Court ruled that in 1983. Thank you for letting me know that, Princess Diana. Okay, so there is precedent for that. Great call, thank you. Let's go to Bobby on the west side. Bobby, good afternoon. How are you?
Mr. Golden, I hope to have lunch with you someday because I have so many stories. But the one that bumped up was I hung out with Sammy Davis Jr. because I was a working musician, and I was on Cleopatra's Lounge in Caesar's Palace. And supposedly he didn't stay up that late, but one night he heard me singing and playing my bass and in the band, and we I mean, Sammy Davis Jr. was such a cool guy. I had like a half hour like sitting with him. He was like the coolest dude. This was in the 70s. I'm 76 years old. And
Bobby, that is such a great story. You know, he was so amazingly talented. And you're right. You and I do need to talk further about that and some of your other musical stories. I'd love to hear your stories. That's awesome. Joaquin, you got 20 seconds, and I mean 20 seconds.
Okay, there, Mr. Bo Snerdley, I want to warn about an apocalyptic Trojan horse. Making Canada the 51st state of the United States could hand this country over to the communist globalist agenda. Look at the way they vote. They keep voting in communists like Justin Trudeau.
Okay, gotcha. My friends, may God bless each and every single one of you and protect your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are back tomorrow for the Wednesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Happy birthday, Lady Benedict. Bye.